So it's that time of year where I've been working on a strategy and planning my year for 2021, especially in terms of my business. But there's been something that I've been recognizing lately that kind of needs to take precedence before anything else. It's this thing around selling. I don't even know what to call it. It's easy for me to default to, oh, I just suck at selling. I'm bad at selling. I always have been. I've been since day one. But I actually know that that's not true, because if you were to ask me to sell you Chrono Trigger or Persona 5, which are two of my favorite video games of all time, I will stay here and tell you every reason about how amazing those games are. So it's not that I can't sell, because that would be selling. I would try to be convincing this audience to buy the thing or to have the thing that I'm talking about. For some reason, when it comes to selling the thing that I provide, my services, my products, the things that I offer, I struggle. This is something I've been thinking about a lot in the past few weeks, and one of the ways that I'm working on this is talking about it with my accountability partner, Carissa Ortega. Now, Carissa is a business coach, but she's had several businesses before, including a restaurant. She's been a wedding planner, a graphic designer. She's sold stationery. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to share the talk that Carissa and I had just to kind of further identify the thing that's really kind of blocking us from being able to level up and being able to really act the way that we want to when it comes to owning what we provide to people, and how we're going to take steps to hopefully change our mindset and be able to unlock our potential. Oh, what the hell are you doing in here? You're not supposed to be in here. Snuck in. Anyway, so let's start with, what is our issue? What's our problem?
Wow, so many. Let's see. Well, talking about what we talked about on Friday. So, the main thing for me is my mindset. And psychologically, the idea of selling, because internally, I feel like I have these questions of doubt running through my mind. I think that's a big part of it. And when I look at other people, and I know this is wrong, right? Like, the idea of comparison is obviously wrong. We need to just focus on what we're doing. But naturally, like, I look at other people that are just so easily talking about what they're doing. It doesn't feel salesy on my end when I watch it. And when I look at them, I'm like, how come I can't do that? Why is it so difficult for me to put my stuff out there and not feel like, do I push send? Do I publish it? Like, is it
There's
too much? Is it
hesitation.
too little? It's not even just the idea of like, am I able to do what I'm promising? It's not even
Right.
just that. It's the idea of like, people are gonna see me asking for something. And I don't know like why that makes me feel so uncomfortable. Like, I'm already like, my shoulders are going like this the moment that I like talk about it, and I'm only talking about it with you.
I mean, like, I think for me, it's so it's such a an approach, or like a feeling that is so ingrained that I just avoid it. Like, I don't even do it, and I think I'm really good at selling in person. So it's, like, I do workshops and trainings. I was gonna say in person all the time, not anymore. But when I did, it was very easy for me to be like, here's a preview of basically what I can do. And if you want to take it a step further, here's how you can. And that felt very natural to me. But there's something very strange about, I don't know who the people are necessarily that are following me, because it's just numbers. It's a follower account. It's a subscriber account. I don't know who these people are. I don't know who's actually watching. So it's really hard for me to be like, just to turn on into commercial mode all of a sudden, and especially to charge a certain amount, right? Like, I always feel like, God, it's like pulling teeth with just getting my course to, charge $200, like, just to get to that point, which is ridiculous, because I'm sure if I talk to anybody else, everyone would be like, you gotta charge more, like, and it's not even like, it's not even a question. It's just like, you just should, for so many reasons. But just for me to get to that point is like so hard. But if someone were to tell me what is in Zero to YouTube Hero, everything that comes with it, the results that you would get if you were to take it, like, I would pay more for it, which is so, like, that's why I don't get it.
And
so
as
yeah, I agree
your,
with,
your friend, like, that's,
yeah,
easily, you would say the exact same thing to me. Like, I've said it to you numerous times where I'm like, you could charge more for this. Like, the idea of $200 is like, what? No, like, this is valuable information. Like, it needs to be, you need to charge more only because it's worth more. The investment is worth it. But I understand, though, where you're coming from on the opposite end, because physically or personally, I'm self-sabotaging in the same way that you are for yourself.
yeah. Because that's why it's so much easier to tell you, but like hard for, I don't know. And I know, like, the shift that I'm really feeling, because for me the selling problem has always been a problem since day one, but what's different about it this time is I feel like, I had to get to this point where, I built all the stuff. I rebuilt Zero to YouTube Hero. I joined my accelerator program. I'm in this group coaching thing. Like all these pieces had to kind of fall into place. But now it's more of like, look, you're still operating from a place of scarcity, even though you are not, like, you're so much more equipped than you were when you were starting. Like, so much more equipped, so much more to offer, so much more to experience, and just there's definitely a level of expertise that just wasn't there. So I brought up Tom and how Tom is operating from a place of abundance, where this is a guy who has a full-time job, and anything else beyond that is extra. And because he doesn't need anything, like, he doesn't need any of this, and he has a very stressful job, he feels like more than okay charging $200 for someone to, like, trade the time that he would be relaxing, de-stressing, playing Animal Crossing, whatever, to pick his brain, ask him questions about, their own goals. And no hesitation whatsoever. And of course, people don't hesitate either. Like, they have no problem. Like, they don't have the hesitation that I feel like we think they're gonna have. So I don't know what that is. Like,
I was gonna say too, I think that when it comes to selling, because I sell other things, right? Like, I can sell other products all day long. But when it comes to selling my skill, my ability, that goes along with a lot of psychological things in my brain. But, if I go and I sell pastry, it's a no-brainer. It's super easy for me. And I think it's because we were talking about it in our conversation on Friday, that take it or leave it mentality is like, it transcends through the way you type things, the way you say things, the way everything, it's that confidence, that just like that confidence in knowing what you're offering and what it's worth. It's so finite that people are like, okay. And then if it's not okay with them, they're like, great, whatever, moving on to the next thing. The way that we think about it, I think, and the way our brains are wired, you and I think, is like, we analyze. We have an analyzing mind. So we're like, well, because it might be too much, then what is that ideal price point? Like, what's that magic number that will get the majority? Or it's more like, okay, is it too cheap? Like, like, we just doubt.
so
like,
here's
the idea of doubt is in everything.
Here's one thing, like, as you're talking, here's one thing that I want us to keep in mind as we're, trying to get to the next level, is that the value in what we offer does not come from a lower price.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not the value that we're offering, is that, like, you can get it
I need to write that down.
from us
Yeah,
for cheaper. Yeah. we're not the discount store, yo. Like, we're not freaking Dollar Tree. Like, that's not something that we should pride ourselves in. The things that we should pride ourselves in is everything else. Like, our experience, our perspective, our approach, our like everything. Even the things that make us stand out, which is content creation, a social media presence that I think, is very unique. And I think for the clients that we're trying to work with, I think that's a lot of, it's that storytelling aspect and being authentic online. I think that's the thing that kind of differentiates us between other coaches that are kind of teaching the same thing.
I think in this past year, I've been telling you that I've been putting in that work where I'm starting to realize those unhealthy triggers that go off in my head when it comes to like where my mind is at when it comes to money. Like, I have an unhealthy relationship with money, and that transcends into sales. It transcends into other aspects of your life. But since we're talking about it, sales specifically, because I'm judging what my dollar amount is, and that does something to your psyche.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly, dude. Like, that's it.
I think a big part of it is something that in the book he said, where I'm trying to look for it right now. Hold on. Here. It, like, simple quote: identity emerges from habits. If I call myself a voter, I'm more likely to go out and vote versus saying it's something that I should do, right? Because your habits help you create that identity that you want. So if I say that, if I want to consider myself a business coach and that's what I want people to perceive me as, because I feel that they will have some kind of value from what I have to offer, I have to call myself a coach so that in my mind, I'm not selling. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just telling people because they're going to need me. Like, they're going to need, like, for those that need a coach, I'm there, and the shift of what your brain is thinking changes from selling to just finding your tribe and finding the people that, like, do need what you're looking for. We've talked about this before when it comes to, like, free content, and we're not afraid to put the free content out there and call ourselves coaches on the free content. But when it comes to trying to get people to pay for it, we're afraid to, like, put that label on ourselves, So
yeah.
I think that really, like, resonated what he said about identity with me. I was like, okay, then if I want to be, if I want to be a coach, then I have to do coach-like things.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm going to get people to buy. That's just what clicked in my mind. It's not like, not just about the webinar and not just about presentation and all of that, but like, what can I do in my daily life, in my daily tasks, in my daily habits that help me realize that that's who I am, so that when I do sell, I sell it with confidence.
Here's what is happening. Okay? Or here's what's been happening. Is that, speaking of habits, I feel like this mindset is a habit. So that's why I'm saying it's so second nature that I have to consciously stop and even be aware of it in the first place before I even, because it's already happening. You know what I mean? And so Not only is this a habit I need to recognize, break, and then replace it with a new one. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot. This is why I don't want to beat myself up for not being further along. Like, I need to give myself credit to, like, getting to the point where I'm at. But my coach said something like this during our planning thing. She was like, okay, whatever your sales goal is for the year, add a 0. And then, not that that's going to be your new goal, but it's like, if you were shooting for that goal, how would that change how you operate? What new ideas, would you come up with if that was it? Like, if you had to get to that point, you're going to operate in a way that's not like, you know, it's, you're not gonna do it the way that you've been doing it.
First of all, I need to get my mindset right. And I've told you that before. I'm working on it, but I realize that this is like, the idea of selling my product sounds small. Like the goal sounds like, okay, I can start doing that tomorrow. But really, it is just this like generalization of a huge umbrella of like issues that I need to address, you know? And so I think that a lot of it is going to be me breaking that down into what is it James Clear? I don't want to butcher it, but the guy in Atomic Habits, he calls them
Yeah,
microevolutions.
James Clear.
Yeah, okay. So James Clear calls it microevolutions. And this is like tiny little steps day by day to either fix the problem, achieve a goal, create a habit, whatever it is that you're doing. And I think for me, the key word is microevolutions. Like, I just want to break it down so simply day by day that even if I don't even end up selling until months from now, then, but I feel like I've done the work. And I feel like if I put my mind, if I just shift my eyes to putting in the work in those tiny steps, you know how we've talked about like when you just focus on something else and it's working toward what you want, it all just starts coming, like the floodgates
Yeah.
open and like
Mm-hmm.
all the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
happens. That's how I want to look at it versus searching so hard for those opportunities that they never come. Like just squeezing onto the sand so tight that it's just like falling from your fingers, like, and that's
Oh
what I feel
yeah.
like I do. I'm very like, I'm very tight fisted on like how I want things to be, how I envision like a launch happening and like all that stuff. Like I'm very tight fisted with it. And I think what I want to do is even starting tomorrow, which is Monday, like I'm just going to say, what's one step that'll move the needle forward? Like, is it share something about something I've observed, or is it um, work on my sales page, my landing page? What is it? Like, it doesn't need to be this big, audacious goal broken down into daily, weekly, monthly steps. Like
Yeah.
I'm just organically go with it but I want to take a micro step every day.
Definitely what I've learned over the past like 3, 4 years is there are certain things that could be broken down into yearly, monthly, weekly. But with mindset, it's hard to do that because it's just like ever present, you know? So I think what I'm gonna do to work on my mindset is to take the time every morning, like before I start work, to go through the exercise of getting into the right mindset in the first place. So I think that looks like identifying what I don't want it to look like and then just making the conscious shift of like, okay, if I'm going to be this identity and own up to this thing that I want to be, you know, which is YouTube coach, like what what does that mindset look like and then how can I get to that point and then go through the day. I don't know what that's
Yeah.
going to look like, but just to do that, I think already is change. And like you said, I'm not expecting like, okay, overnight shift, $10,000. You know, like I know it doesn't work that way, but I also know that, like you said, you know, I think that just this mindset has been so toxic that even just shifting can create magnitudes of change eventually. You know, it's like it's not something that where I think it is exponential, where it's little progress, but it's just a curve that eventually they compound on each other.
Yeah.
So like I'm good with small change if when it comes to mindset because I know it stacks up.
The idea of 1%, a small 1% change, little by little, compounds into like huge monumental change over time. And that's something also that I need to work through when it comes to mindset, where we've grown up in this time of like automation and like immediate gratification. And I expect that from myself when it comes to improvement, like self-improvement, all of that stuff. Like if I say, oh, okay, I'm going to read this book, I'm going to read a book every month. And when I do that, I expect $10,000 in my pocket because I'm putting in the work. That is the toxicity of instant gratification and like what damage it does, because that's not how our minds, our bodies work. I mean, if we're looking at goal setting when it comes to exercising, right? Like you completed 100 days of exercising, and like you didn't even look at it as like, I don't even think you did, because you never brought it up to me. You weren't like, I'm going to work out for 100 days.
Because I was scared, dude. I didn't want to set a goal that I wouldn't achieve, so I never did. But I'm still going.
But
I haven't stopped.
Yeah.
Like I'm at 100,
that's amazing.
I don't know, 15 days. Yeah.
That's amazing. And because you were just like, I'm not going to set a goal for myself. And maybe like the reasons behind you not setting the goal was like a little bit like in your mind.
I think that was the mindset shift. Because like instead of focusing on the end goal, I focused on the daily habit. Yes. Like that was it. Yes. And that's what I want to do. That's why I just want to take a freaking notebook and like work on the mindset daily. Because I know like, 30 days, like who knows what that focus will, like how, I don't even know what that result would look like. That's the thing. Like I didn't go into 100 days of exercise like, okay, I want to lose like X amount of pounds or whatever. It was just, it was more of like, I want to commit to something for that long.
Yeah. And I think that's also, I think that's part of like our change, like our mindset shift, like you said, because there are some goals that make sense for us where we start from the big picture and work its way down, right? But then there are other ones that are just more like, let's see how it goes. Let's start with just focusing on today, get today done, worry about tomorrow and the future some other time. Let's just focus on the present. And other goals are more efficiently accomplished that way.
I mean, this is the perfect time because it's the end of 2020. All, the world is not like, there's obviously we were not prepared for this, but I think because the world is not what it was and we don't know what it's going to be, I'm able to focus on me in a way that I haven't before, Yeah. So I'm freaking doubling down on that. Like I'm feeling good. And I look forward to when we do a check-in. Like, let's check back in in a month. We're going to work on our mindset, and that's it, right? There's not going to be like, what does that look like? It's not going to be, number of sales or dollar sales goal or anything like that. It's just work on mindset. And the thing that we want to track when we, circle back is, what did that look like? What were the results from having shifted our mindset? And we are open. We are open to it all. It could be small things, big things, medium things, like whatever. Because I think the point is that there are going to be things that we didn't realize would be, beneficial in this process.
All and right? I'm going to make like a dedicated journal page to just like things that I've observed, like just an observation page, just so that I can like jot things down.
Okay, cool. Sounds like we have our homework.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So thanks for this. And I'll talk to you next week. All right. Good luck. Okay. Bye.